For 2 years, I did the one thing every content bro out there says will kill your business. I stopped making content entirely and did basically nothing to replace it. Now, most content bros hearing that would lose their mind. Dude, if you don't post 17 million times a day, your business is going to tank. But here's the reality. My business grew like a weed anyway, and 24 months later, I sold that same business for 7 figures. So how in the hell do you make a boatload of money without posting any content? Well, in this video, I'm going to show you the 7 invisible systems I installed that made me a fortune long after I stopped posting. And I'm going to warn you right now, once you understand what's actually driving the money in this space, you're going to be pretty angry about how you've been spending your time and never look at content the same way again. So let's get into it.
So my wife and I are building a business. We post on Instagram, YouTube Shorts. We post more and more sales come in. We stop posting and sales stop coming in. And it kind of burns us out with all the organic content. So I know you solved this problem in your business, and I'm wondering what the solution is to be where you are today.
Yeah, that's a good question. So oftentimes people think, okay, if I keep making new content over and over again, that this is going to help them accomplish their business goals. Sometimes it will if you do it the right way, but very few people actually do it the right way. And instead what happens is, as you mentioned, they start getting more of a burnout that happens. They've unintentionally made themselves into full-time content creators, which is fine if that was what your goal was. Hey, I want to be the next YouTube star. But 99% of business owners like your wife and you want to actually have a business that's an asset that gives them time freedom and helps them make a lot of money, right? So the better approach to do is, if you're going to create content, you want to do it in a very strategic way that actually ends up building what I would consider more of a machine, something that's evergreen, where you can build things once, build these like super powerful assets, and then they function as your content system for years and years. And that's the goal of what we're going to be talking about today, right? This is how I essentially got to the point where I could stop making content for years and the business continued to grow, because again, I had this machine that was happening.
Interesting. So yeah, we try to make the content, then we start running advertising dollars behind it, try to get more views, but it hasn't converted to sales. Is the secret to run advertisements?
That's very common in the very beginning. If people are like, oh, like I'm getting burnt out in content, I'm going to start making ads. It's the right idea, right? Ads is the start of any content system, but you want to do it in a very strategic way. And most people are making ads, especially when they start from organic and that's their experience. They're making ads in completely the wrong way. And again, if you want to build this machine that we're talking about, you have to build your ads in a significantly more strategic fashion.
So what is the first step for making those ads?
Okay. So first and foremost, I personally like making ads that are on visual-based platforms. Those tend to be the type of ads that can run for a longer period of time. So in my case, I particularly think that YouTube ads are like the golden goose of building evergreen funnels. So absolutely recommend that people start with YouTube ads. And it's not that like Facebook ads or Instagram ads are bad, they're not, but those tend to have to be recycled more often, whereas a killer YouTube ad, especially if you build it the right way, can run for a very long period of time. And that's what we're trying to do, right? Like get as much money out of our content creation time as possible so we can focus on other things in our life.
So speaking as a consumer of YouTube, like when I look at the bottom right of an ad, there's the skip button and I try to wait for the 4 seconds to click it. So how do I get my customers to not do that?
Yeah, I mean, listen, everybody does that, right? Especially because most of the ads on the platform are total garbage. I mean, even my like 6-year-old is like, like trained himself to like hover his finger over the skip button, right? But how do we get people to not skip and actually consume our YouTube ad, right? Especially the right people. Well, the first thing we want to have is we want to have this absolutely killer, amazing hook in the beginning of the video that just essentially what we would call stop this scroll, right? But in our case, stop the skip button, something that just stops people dead in their tracks. And they're like, what the heck was that? Or I got to watch at least a couple more seconds of that. Just stopping people from that behavior. And it's very important that you have that hook in the beginning actually functioning in the right way in order to have people do that.
You told me before there's a specific purpose for the first sentence and then the second sentence. Can you go into more detail about that?
Yeah. So like in copywriting, which is essentially what a great YouTube ad is, right? Like just very engineered decision making for our prospects or the people watching. In copywriting, we have this old adage, which is the goal of the first sentence is to get people to read the second sentence. And the goal of the second sentence is to get people to read the third sentence. And the goal of the third sentence is to read the fourth, et cetera, et cetera. And that's what a hook is. It's just literally just the very first thing we want to get people to do is just stop pressing the skip button, right? And so what we did in our video, and you can extrapolate this out inside your business, and Mr. or Mrs. Listener or watcher, as you're watching this, think about these patterns because they can rely to your business as well, is I instantly played this super flashy piano lick in the very beginning. And I knew if I did that, people would be like, what the heck was that? I can't believe I just saw that, right? And so in other businesses, a lot of times doing something like very shocking in the very beginning of a video, or asking some sort of provocative question, or saying something absolutely counterintuitive or has a unique hook that your prospect would be like, wait, what? You know, like, for example, I'll just like make up one off the top of my head here. Like, can you eat 4,000 jelly beans a day and still lose weight? Somebody's going to watch the next thing after I say that, because that's so weird and so bizarre sounding that like, yes, it's not true. You probably can't eat 4,000 jelly beans a day and lose weight, but nonetheless, we're saying something in the very beginning that just stops people and grabs their attention, makes them think, gets them out of that weird pattern of like, must press skip now.
I don't want to just get views on it. Like, there's the attention, but I want to sell the product. So what are the strategic elements you put inside of the ad after you get their attention?
Yeah, okay, cool. So we do the hook in the very beginning, and then what you do is immediately you do what we call the credibility hook right afterwards. And so you said something that gets their attention, and then you say, hey, my name is such and such, right? Very short. Okay, because remember, they don't actually care who you are. When people are consuming content, they're doing it off of the context of what's in it for me. Why should I keep watching this as opposed to clicking over and watching some sort of cat video on YouTube or whatever the hell they're into, right? But what we did is we're like, you know, hey, you just saw me play this amazing lick. My name is Steve Nixon. You may know me from my appearances on NPR, NBC, WGN, et cetera, et cetera. And what that was designed for, it was just a quick intro and then giving what we call that credibility hook, which is just like, you should listen to me because I'm famous or I'm well known in the industry. Now, the irony is that like 99.9% of people, maybe even higher, barely know who I am, and that doesn't matter. But it just sort of jogs their memory a little bit and gives them a reason to listen, because like, hey, this person like did this cool thing and he's got this credibility. I should probably listen to him. Now, a lot of people watching this will not have any like major media credibility. Totally fine. Just anything that will signify that you are an expert worth listening to. So anything you've done for a customer or a consult or anything at all that will show that like, hey, I've got a little bit of authority here and that you should listen to me. So you could say, you know, hey, listen, I'm the diet coach who helped Janet lose 7 pounds in 3 days. The diet coach, whatever. You know, that just very simple, just some sort of reason. And this area is quick, it's fast, and it's credibility building. And it's meant to then move into the next thing, which is how you're going to help them accomplish something that's important to them right afterward.
That's a lot easier than having to get on TV. It could be something like solving a problem for a friend.
100%. 100%. Yeah. Yeah.
So you have the attention, you have the credibility. What is the next step?
So the next step is we're doing a very short bridge. And so in this case, I say, hey, you probably enjoyed the lick that I just watched because you just watched me do it and you're still here. And so what I did in order to get on these big stages and play in WGN and NBC, et cetera, is I played licks like you just heard right there. It was absolutely essential for my career to be able to wow audiences and get on these big stages. Now, as I'm saying this, again, this isn't about me. nobody actually cares about me. I am the vehicle for the audience. And in this case, I know the audience wants to be able to play cool sounding things that will impress people, right? It's a concept of like, getting ego gratification of sorts, right? This is why a lot of us do anything. We want to impress or look a particular way in front of other people, right? So, Janet, who let's use a different name. Let's say Dorothy, who's watching the weight loss ad. She says, listen, I don't care about your particular person who you helped lose XYZ weight, but if you were to say right afterwards, and not only did Janet lose XYZ weight, but she was also the star of her high school reunion, and people commented how much weight she lost and how young she looked. That's something that people care about. So you're tying it next into an outcome that's very important for the person.
Is it more about the dream outcome or how you got them there?
Yeah, the mechanism itself is secondary, right? Like you do want to have some sort of mechanism which we're going to introduce in a second to help them accomplish something that we know the prospects care about, but it's understanding the absolute dream outcome that they want or the massive pain they're in, and the next step is helping them to remove those things.
On your screen, I see a free win. What do you mean by that?
Okay, so after I gave the credibility and I said, hey, the reason I was able to do these cool things and the lick that you just saw is because of this vocabulary I learned how to play. Now, I know that other people want to learn how to play like this also, and I understand it's hard. So what I've done is I've actually built a real quick fast free download you can use to learn this particular lick that you just heard in the beginning. It's super easy to implement. You'll be playing right away. You can download it at the button, click below, right? And so there's a lot of psychological components there. It's simple what I just said, but basically I'm saying, hey, I know you want to be able to do this too, but it's hard. So I've made it easy for you. You can grab it for free and instantly add it into your playing. Go ahead and click the button below. You can get it right in your inbox, right? So simple marketing principle. They want to achieve this dream outcome, and we're going to help you do it fast, free, and easy. Who can argue with that, right? The price is right.
So what I got from you so far is that the ad gets attention, makes them want this, and you got over 1 million views. And it's not just for attention's sake; it's driving them towards something specific.
Yeah, this is a totally different game than organic, right? Because we're paying for the attention. So 1 million views here means the ad is printing money, right? It means it's well designed and it's engineered really well. So again, we want to have this big hook in the very beginning that stops the scroll, something that's going to excite them and interest them, right? Quick proof of who you are, very short, doesn't matter. You don't have to be, a total rock star in your industry or anything like that. Just something that shows a very quick proof and say, hey, you want to be able to achieve that result too? Well, guess what? I've got a real simple, free, easy guide helping you be able to do this. It's no cost. You can download it right below, right? Free win, CTA, that's what we talked about. Boom. And then call to action, and then they're done.
And how do you design something that makes them want to click off of YouTube and go towards your offer? So how do you make this really, really attractive?
Yeah, so the CTA, the offer that you're actually sending them to, is very strategic as well. Okay, so this isn't going to sound, people are going to see this and they're going to say, a lead magnet, Steve. Of course, everybody knows a lead magnet. And yes, everybody knows it, but not everybody builds it in a way where they can have this lead magnet as part of this evergreen machine and it prints for years. So this is what most people do when they're building these lead magnets, is they sort of build these like generic guides, like get my guide on 7 tips to lose body fat. It's like, okay, that's just a blog post. It's 18 trillion places all over the internet. There's nothing special about this. Get my guide to get in shape now. Blah, blah, blah. Vague advice, right? Get my guide to become a healthier person. No urgency. There's nothing there. And this is what most people's lead magnets are. So you will get some opt-ins from these, right? Like your most like interested people in the world, which is like such a tiny fraction, will opt in for this. But the economics aren't going to work with these generic lead magnets, which is what most people do. Okay. So again, our thing was very specific. And the way that I figured out how to get something that was super high converting is I actually had these conversations with our prospect first. And I just asked them some basic questions. Now, Before I tell you what those basic questions are, I know there's some people in the audience who'll be like, "Wait a second, this is internet marketing. I'm an introvert. I don't want to talk to my customers. I'm scared of them. I just want to stay in my mom's basement and not talk to anybody." I get it. I'm somewhat of an introvert myself, right? But this is not like, like you're spending 14 hours with people. You're just having these very short sort of conversations where you ask them basic questions. Hey, who are some of your heroes in the space? Who do you look up to? What are you struggling with right now? What do you do to learn right now? What are you doing to get results? Why do you prefer this as opposed to this? Just getting sort of basic intel. And these are the questions that I asked my customers. And I noticed a few things. So for the aspirational thing, I noticed that they told me over and over again, they're like, I really like Ray Charles and the bluesy sounding piano players with these cool sounding licks. And again, I've got an IQ of maybe like -17, but even with my limited IQ, I can say, hey, they keep saying the same person that they look up to. Maybe I should help them be able to sound like this person that they look up to, and figure out a way that they can do that in an easy way. So again, like let's go back to the weight loss example. How do we extrapolate that out for other markets? Well, let's say we're doing for busy dads who are like in their 40s or 50s. We have some sort of like get in shape offer. Well, there's a good chance that they like Gen X type guys who are in shape. So celebrities who are in shape. So somebody like Mark Wahlberg or The Rock or somebody like that, right? And so if you had, here's how to how to steal Mark Wahlberg's secret muscle growth tricep exercises in less than 24 hours so you can build Mark Wahlberg type arms or something like that. I'm improvising, but let's just say that's what it is, right? That's going to be hyper specific because we know that because, Mark Wahlberg and The Rock are super popular in that audience. They have tons and tons of social media audience followers, right? They sell tons of movies that people aspire to be like that type of person. I'm guessing right now, if you are, if you are in that place, have a conversation with your customers, figure out who they actually aspire to. I'm guessing, I'm hypothesizing that's where it is, right? But again, very specific to that particular type of market, right? And again, the key concepts I want to focus on in right here is that we want an easy win and something that's going to save them time. And again, like I said, I'm had this conversation with my market, and I heard over and over again, I like to learn by reading sheet music. Well, shoot, if I hear that over and over again, maybe I should teach them a Ray Charles lick and put it on sheet music. This is not rocket science. I'm just listening to what people want and helping them achieve it in an organized way that makes it easy and fast and saves them time. So that lead magnet that I made, which was totally the opposite of this generic one that people make here, right? That this lead magnet was a total winner. It converted way better than most people's lead magnets.
So like you said, pick something the market actually wants as opposed to my genius ideas before I speak with anybody.
we all think we're a genius in a vacuum, right? But like literally, man, just like have these conversations with the marketplace. Now, a lot of people will kind of cheat and they're like, oh, I'll just chat with Claude or I'll just chat with the AI. And I guess that's better than nothing. But like, seriously, man, just take a few minutes and have a few conversations with your customers. You can even post something on Facebook if you're brand new and you don't have any customers yet in a group, and you'll get some feedback that way. You don't have to do it if you don't want to, but if you like money, I would recommend you do. I mean, you're this far in this video, so I'm guessing you like money. You want to do well with content.
So you have the lead magnet, you have the advertisement. Traditional marketing says make a landing page. So is this the path you take, and what tips do you have for that?
So yes, obviously we need a landing page to be able to have people opt in for some sort of, lead magnet delivery page where they enter in their information. And what a lot of people will do, which is a massive mistake, is they'll use some sort of AI tool and just be like, well, Claude says or ChatGPT says this is going to work great. And they'll put it up and then they'll launch it. And yes, it will get some conversions. Okay. But the better way to do it is to actually test a few different landing page versions and see which one ends up converting the best. And there's a reason why you want to split test these. So When I built my very first version of it, I was high-fiving myself. I said, man, this looks great. This is going to be awesome. I know that people are going to love this, right? And I'm not a designer, but it looked kind of good to me. But again, the market always tells you what actually is going on. And so I built out, because I'm an experienced marketer, I built out 4 different versions of the page because sometimes I'm wrong. I don't actually know what the audience is going to respond to. So the one that I thought looked best was not the one that the audience liked. Unfortunately, that one only got 16%. Boo-hoo, ego hit for Steve. But later on, big win for Steve. I said, you know what? Let me just put something on with no design on it. They're all won't even look pretty. It'll literally just be like just a headline, a subheadline, and email opt-in box, like plain vanilla, what many people would call like ugly design, so to speak, because there's nothing on there. And that one converted at 40%. So what's the lesson here? Well, when you get an ad, if you think about this here, right, this part of the funnel, and is converting at 250% better. This is how you can engineer a machine that with our goal of like stopping making content for many years. Again, 40%, this is going to be able to get you leads at such a lower price and get a lot more leads who are coming in that you can eventually sell your products and services to and make a lot more money. It's hyper leverage. So again, simple concept here, right? Like split test your landing page because you can make some massive gains and escape the content hamster wheel as a result of it and make a lot more money.
Do you make 4 different landing pages with different headlines first? Is that the first thing you test, or what's the most important?
Yeah, so there's a lot of things you can split test. Me personally, what I like to split test is I like to split test headlines as the first thing, and then also page design itself. So I'll have a version where the copy remains the same as far as page design, but like the backgrounds are different or the fonts are different, right? Where it looks like totally different than another version of the page. And then the headline itself. And the reason you do the headline is it's pretty simple, right? If you think about it, when people first click on a page, is the first thing that they see. It's above the top of the fold, and oftentimes those have the biggest impact. Now, there's a lot of other things you can split test as well, but they have they're less needle movers, so to speak. So a lot of people think, oh, I'll change the green, the button that was green for the opt-in, on the click the submit on the page, I'll change it to light green, and that's going to turn me into a trillionaire. Maybe it'll lift it a little bit in conversion wise, but oftentimes those are lower elements that don't move the needle as much as the headline and the actual page design itself.
And I've seen your landing page before. It really looks like the picture on the right.
Man, stick figures for the win, right? Like it's surprising that how simple that page looks and how well people responded to it. But also, of course, Monday morning quarterbacking here. They have been hearing about this offer, this lead magnet through the ad, and then literally it just says, want this thing that you just saw in the ad. I mean, the copy's a little better than that, but like it's just like, here's the thing that you just said in the ad, get it right now, right? They're already there. They already clicked on the ad. Like it's just a continuation of the topic that they had already, the conversation the prospect already had in their mind. So it kind of makes sense why it did well.
And to go from the lead to getting a sale from it, you take them through an email sequence next, or do you have a different approach?
Yeah, so that's what a lot of people do. And yes, we absolutely have email sequences, and I'll talk about how we engineered those to work later. But what we did, and this is a very important part of the funnel step. This is one that a lot of people miss. A lot of people, they'll have these lead magnets, and then they just take them to a thank you page later, and then they hope and pray that they're going to be able to like make up all the money they spent on ads on the back end. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But it's risky, and that's oftentimes where a lot of people get scared of running ads. So what we did is we actually built out some thank you page offers. So after they opt in on the actual thank you page, there's a, hey, you want to solve problem XYZ or whatever it is, special one-time offer, and then it gives them the opportunity to get back into our funnel. So cool. We help them solve the problems faster. Prospects like it. We know what they're going to be interested in terms of what they may want to buy on that thank you page, right? What they may want to buy there. But also from our standpoint, this helps us liquidate the cost of the ads that we're paying for and de-risks it, which is particularly great for the people who are nervous out there about spending any money on ads, which is one of the things that stops people from doing ads in the first place. Which I hope this video will get you enough confidence, among many other things, to start running ads, because they're so amazing for your business.
So, for example, a lot of us have high ticket offers or $300 offers. I noticed yours is $5. Is the price significant to transition them to a higher offer, or do you structure the $5 differently?
Yeah. So it's funny. So I think what you're asking me is like, how did I make sure that I had a thank you page offer that I knew was going to convert really well, right? Like, how do we make that transition into our back-end offers that are going to work? Now, this $5 thing you see here, this useful reference book, this was super engineered. Okay. And I used to work at this bookstore when I was in high school, and I noticed that people kept on buying these like ultimate guides to Frisbee, ultimate guides to gardening, your complete guide to growing mushrooms in your backyard, legal kind, not illegal kind, but ultimate guide to piano chords or whatever. And I noticed that like we were always selling out these books, and I picked up one of the books one day and I looked at the piano version of one of these ultimate guides, and it was like horrible. It just like the content in it wasn't particularly good. It wasn't like somebody could pick it up immediately and then just become a good piano player, apply it to their playing, but yet they were like selling really well. And I always remember that. I was like, man, like people like these like ultimate guides. And as I learned more about marketing, I realized that what it was is it gave people a sense of power, that like this was going to be something that could like really like help me get to the next level. They like the sense of ultimate. So when I was coming up with my $5 book, what I did was I said, you know what, I'm going to do the ultimate jazz scales guide, because I knew, again, talking to my customers, they liked to learn about jazz scales, but also they wanted that ultimate thing. The market already proved it. So I made that. But what I did to make it better so people could actually get results, this is an important thing, by the way, right? So a lot of times people will kind of cheap out on their like low ticket offers. They're like, I'm not going to help people too much, because like if they get too much help from it, like they'll never buy from me again. It's quite the opposite, actually. If you give people help solving one problem, they're very likely to want to get your help again solving the next problem. So I made sure this is different than what they did in the bookstore. I made sure that every page was useful and that there was something that they could instantly apply that day to their playing. And then the other thing was those books in the bookstore, they're like $29.95, which isn't that expensive, but there's a little price resistance there, right? And what I did is I was like, okay, well, what's the number one reason that people don't buy things? Well, the number one thing is cost, is price resistance. So I made it like a no-brainer, just remove price resistance entirely, and I made the book for $5. So it was like absolutely proven in the marketplace, and it's only $5 and they can get results right away. And the cool thing about this particular type of book right here was that normally, like in a thank you page offer, oftentimes those will convert at like 1 or 2%. That's sort of typical in direct response funnels, and ours converted at 7%. But again, big picture principle here, like this is not like, nobody needs to be a Rhodes Scholar here, right? Just like pay attention to what your audience wants. See if you can make it a little bit better for them at a better price, a little bit faster. We're just sort of like playing the edges here, showing what's already proven, but doing it in a little bit of a better way for the customer, and it works.
So give them what they want, cheaper and better. So rocket science.
Hey man, rocket surgery, as Frank Kern likes to say, right? Simple stuff.
Do you need a lot of upsells to balance out the cost, or what if I just have a few products that I'm selling?
Yeah. So the answer, the straight up answer there is that like, no, I mean, like a lot of people will stall at this point. They'll have maybe like one product and they'll be like, oh, if I don't have 97 upsells, it's not going to work. Just start with what you have. It's just implementing is better than nothing. That's sort of the golden rule of business, right? Like done is better than perfect. That being said, what we had, because I had been in business for a while, is we had multiple offers that we could have on the back end of that $5 offer, one-click upsells. And the reason why, let me kind of break down the very simple math. I promise you, I flunked out of kindergarten. This will not be hard. But if we're paying basically, if converting at 7%, $5, that's basically approximately 35 cents per lead. But in terms of money made per lead. But most people are like, wait a second, that's way less than I'm paying per lead. And that's correct, which is why we have the upsells in the back end to liquidate those ad costs. And for the prospect, what we had is we had more books because, again, they've already proven they like books. So we'll give you even more books on related topics that will help you get results you want, right? We have video courses we can help you practice faster or learn different styles or build practice plans or music theory, adjacent problems that people have. And again, all they got to do is just like one click or click away if they don't want it, right? And so again, more value for the customer. And then for us, we are now liquidating those ad costs, which lowers the risk for us and everybody wins, right? So after our whole funnel, on day one, just from them coming in, the average order value, we were able to liquidate 60% of what we were paying per lead just on day one, which is very awesome and a great way to scale your business.
How do you get the other 40% back and turn that into a profit?
Yeah, good question. So the next thing that you want, if you want to be able to like get that money back, right? We're not in business to lose money. We're in business to make a profit. And again, with our ultimate goal of why we're making this video of building this sort of machine that allows you to stop making content is you want to have automated offers and automated content that you can send your customers that will get them to buy more, consume more, send more, move up the funnel so you can make them more profitable and get them more results. I spend a good amount of time kind of like engineering this stuff out inside our CRM. Nowadays, it's so easy. Like you could probably have this done in like an afternoon or two using Claude. Just say, get Claude to make you 50 pieces of content that are helpful, that have light CTAs towards your offer, and put those into your CRM, and you're off to the races. Now, obviously, that's not going to be the stopping point, but that's a great first step, and it's so easy to implement. I mean, just grab what I just said in the video, and then pop it into Claude, and you'll have something useful.
So you mentioned light CTAs. Is it not like a hard sell versus just pure value, and how do you balance that?
Yeah, definitely don't be like, buy now, mother trucker every single time and everything or just, just email them a buy now button with nothing in there, right? Like, we're building relationships. They've opted in for a free thing. Maybe they bought something kind of small, right? We want to continue to help them provide value in the marketplace. But there's reasons why people don't take action. Time, money, comprehension, ease. And so oftentimes what we would do is we'd send them like a free guide to such and such or 7 tips to do such and such type thing. Very sort of general light content there. But then we might say, hey, would you like results even faster? We've got a program that can help you do this 10 times faster. If this guide is confusing for you, you don't have time to implement, you can buy it right here. And then we go right back into the content. And those work great. So people weren't like, this guy is hard selling all the time. We're continuing to build a relationship, but they're also making money along the way as well. And which is great, right? Like customers win, we win as well. Now, a couple things here. All right. So we mentioned the like getting started, use AI to just generate that content in the very beginning. But what you'll see eventually is that some of the content will work better than other pieces of content. And what you're going to want to do is eventually, after a month or two, you're going to start wanting to prune out the ones that don't do as well and replace them with the ones that do well. So I'll give you an example. In our business, the North Star metric we used was earnings per click. So we had some emails that we initially sent out that were making something like 17 to 25 cents per click. And then some of them were making $4 per click and some of them were making $7 per click. Now, again, I flunked out of kindergarten, but I think, according to my math, $7 is more money than 17 cents, right? So what we did is we'd move the ones that made $7 earlier in the funnel so that we get more people looking at them. And then we said, hey, they like the $7 type content that we sent, right? The ones that made $7 per click. Maybe we should make some more that actually look like that, and then take the ones that look like that, replace those with the ones that were not converting well, the 17 cents per click. And that's the process, right? And it's so easy at this point with AI. All right. So again, just get started, just do a version 1 of this, but pay attention to your metrics, right? Don't just be like, okay, cool, I built this evergreen funnel. The first version is fine, right? You tweak it a little bit over the course of a few months, and you're going to get a lot more money, just from building that automated system that we built in the right way, which is just a tiny tweak at the end.
At which point do you measure what works or not? Is it 100 clicks, 100 opens, 1,000 subscribers, or something else?
Yeah, I get that question a lot. Like, what's the single most metric you can do? Well, if you're Amazon, you can get data on anything that comes in on your way. Or if you're Google, instantly, because you have millions and millions of users. But for most people, they don't have that many people coming from their funnel, especially once we get deeper in the funnel. So a good starting point, this is not exact math, but just a good starting point to lower people's anxieties is 100 viewers or 100 opens or 100 clicks, just to start getting some data in the very beginning. But here's the good news. If you build the machine the right way, eventually you're going to have thousands and thousands of people going through your funnel. And that's when you can start getting some really accurate data along the way. But just start with what you have.
What was your mindset behind creating the higher ticket offers that increased the value?
Yeah, so that's a really good question. So when I first started this business, I had heard about high ticket offers and I was like, yeah, that's cool. But now I'm back to trading time for money. Maybe I'll do that later, but this doesn't sound great. I want everything to be digital, and so I don't have to, I can stay in my mom's basement and not talk to many and just build these, digital products or whatever. It worked, right? I definitely made profit, especially after the first month. We would liquidate, but the customers weren't worth enough yet. We trickle in, so maybe they'd come in and we get a lead that was at let's say $3.50 whatever. Well, maybe by month 5 they were worth $5. So there was some profit going on, right? But it was slow and I didn't like it. So finally, I took my head out of my what and I said, hey, everybody's talking about high ticket. I wonder if there's a way where I actually can do high ticket, but I don't have to actually be the one delivering the content, helping people get results. Maybe I can get other great people to deliver the high ticket program. And fortunately, I asked myself that question because that's when things really got profitable inside the business. So takeaway there, if you do not currently have a high ticket offer on the back end of your funnel, absolutely recommend that you start one.
So next to high ticket, it says Berkeley-like results for 90% less. For people not familiar with music, can you explain that a little bit more?
Yeah, so Berkeley is a very famous music school. It's considered the gold standard of for many people of learning how to play contemporary music, rock, jazz, blues, gospel, right? Things that aren't classical. And a lot of people would like to go there, right? Because it's considered so great. Now, the reason they don't go there is because it's $80,000 a year, and then you got to move out to Boston, and it's difficult to get into. But I knew the market really liked Berkeley. This is something that people aspire to. And I said, why is Berkeley so expensive? Can we do something that gets people similar results, but do it in a way that's way more affordable for them? And so, one of the problems with Berkeley is that, first of all, it's in Boston. It's one of the most expensive places in the world to live. So they got to pay their teachers a high amount of money in order for them to even live there, right? Boston prices in general are crazy. Boston real estate is millions and millions and millions of dollars per building, right? They've got high taxes. They've got all of these infrastructure costs. Plus, students have to pay for room and board, and they've got 18 layers of administration because it's college, right? So they got to charge a bunch of money. I was like, we can get rid of 90% of that and deliver the same results playing wise, but do it in a way more affordable way for our students. So still high ticket for us in the business, but it wouldn't have to be $80,000 for our students. And again, market had already proven that they like this. They like Berkeley. we're going to do the same type of thing, but in a more affordable way for the student. They don't even have to leave their house. And that offer took off like a rocket. People really liked it a lot.
Nice. You're selling people what they want and building a great business out of it.
Yeah, it's like, it's not that complicated. People make it way more complicated than it need to be. And remember when I mentioned before, I was like, yeah, like we were still making a profit and we were eking out. But when we added the right high ticket offer on the back end, that's where we got our leads to be like $16 on after year one on the back end. That's when we really started like seeing massive scale in the business, which was awesome for our customers because they really liked the program, but also awesome for us because we're scaling the business.
And over the years, you had more programs and you didn't have to acquire them as a customer again. So profit from there.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, yeah, once you, and listen, you should always try to do a good job of making your products good for your customers. Not only, of course, like morally and ethically, that's the right thing to do, but also because like, from our standpoint, like when they get results, they're people always have problems, right? And so they're gonna turn to the people they trust to help them get to the next problem that they have to solve. Problems are infinite; it's part of the human existence. So, if we do a great job of delivering value in the high ticket program, they're gonna stay for year 2, year 3, year 4. Recommend us to people, right? And that's business 101. Do a really good job for your customers. Charge them well, make sure that it's something you can earn a profit in. Scale it, build the machine so you don't have to stay in this content hamster wheel hell that we're in, and you can focus your time and energy back into higher leverage things inside the business.
For the people making the shift from organic to paid ads, what is the number one hesitation or the big shift that they have to make?
Yeah, so a lot of people have this like wrong mindset belief that like, organic content is free, so therefore it's way better than paid ads. But it's actually not free because organic costs time. Like, man, it takes a long time to like post and make the content and stuff like that, and you got to keep doing it. It's your time is valuable, right? The other thing is that there's opportunity costs. There's like significantly better things you can be doing with your time in the business. And if you're the business owner watching this, you probably are the business owner. There's 1,000 other things you can do in your business that will scale it more than just dancing, on a TikTok video. Ads are part of a machine that you can engineer. And again, once you build it once, you can keep tweaking that funnel. It's a machine, so you can get off this like horrific, content hamster wheel that we're on. The other thing is that once you build the machine properly, you can start really investing back into acquiring better leads, and that's using the tier 1 traffic sources. So your Googles, your YouTubes, your Facebook ads, your Instagram, et cetera, right? And that's where like the overwhelming majority of people are on the internet. So when you build these machines inside them, and you can make each lead very profitable, it allows you to invest more. Maybe you can raise the price of your lead acquisition a little bit, right? So if you're able to make, let's say $20, that's what your leads are worth after 3 months, right? But you're acquiring leads before for $7, but you still have this massive profit center there. If you can pay $10 per lead, you still got this delta of 2 to 1 there. This allows you to acquire even more leads because maybe you could only acquire so many leads that when your cost per lead, your target CPA was $7, but up to $10, wow, we can acquire maybe 100 more leads per day, which is super awesome and a great way to scale that business.
Nice. I remember when I met you, you were going through this process with your first business, and I viewed you as the number one copywriter I knew. So how did you step back and get to the point of selling your business where this was like the first step? Is that right?
Yeah. So it's funny you say that. So obviously I like copywriting. I love persuasion. I love helping people. It's like the coach in me. Like I've always wanted to like help people get results, but people have blocks in their way. And so copywriting is a way to kind of like, it's almost teaching in a certain way. So I have this like passion for copywriting, and it is important, but eventually, again, if we're trying to get off this content hamster wheel, copywriting has to some degree a limited upside if you as the business owner is doing it. So initially, yes, like we're building out this machine. You want to do the copywriting yourself. That's totally fine. And that should be able to get you off the content hamster wheel if you build the machine the right way for a long period of time. But occasionally you might say, well, listen, we do want to occasionally make some new content, some new offers or whatever. But at this point, this is where you personally as a business owner want to get off the content hamster wheel and use leverage, outsource copywriting to another person. Now, it's confusing because oftentimes, us as people who are in this business, we kind of like copy, right? Especially me, I love copy. But the thing is that copywriting oftentimes pays, if you do it well, in the hundreds of dollars per hour, which is fine. That's good. But if you want to make millions eventually with your business, you have to put your time and energy into higher leverage opportunities. So it was weird for me in the very beginning. I was like, I'm making, $300 an hour when I sit down to do copyright, but I'm going to pay somebody else to do that for me. Okay. Cause I'm like, oh my God, $300 an hour paid out. That sounds scary. But it wasn't scary when I actually sat down and looked at my math and I said, wow, when I do these other activities inside my business, instead of tweaking every little line of copy like I was doing before, but instead invest them in opportunities that pay me thousands of dollars or tens of thousands of dollars per hour, I'm going to trade that all day, every given Sunday, right? $300 versus $5,000. Again, not the greatest mathematician in the world, but I think 5K is worth more than $300. So at that point, that's where you're going to want to start moving up the leverage stack and getting other people, if you still need to make brand new content, to do it for you, which is another great way of you personally getting off that content hamster wheel. And that's what I did. And that's how I was able to make my business kept growing without me personally making content for 2 years, which is pretty cool.
Amazing. So 2-part question. Can you sum this up? And what is the first practical thing somebody could do after watching this video to start building this out themselves?
Yeah. The summary is go make some money. That's the dumbed down summary. But the more specific summary here, I got a little graphic here we'll do. Okay. So take a look at this little funnel here, right? Okay. So we got, before you're on the content hamster wheel, boohoo, blah, 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 this, that, and the other, right? We're on this content hamster wheel. Totally sucks. Okay. But we want to get eventually into this evergreen system. So the first thing we want to do is we understand that we have cold strangers in the internet. There are literally hundreds of thousands, maybe even millions of people who you could help around the world, right? So what you do is you find a funnel, some sort of ad or something. You make sure you engineer it absolutely amazing using the system I just said. You have a lead magnet that'll help them do it. Okay. Use AI if you want to in the very beginning. But again, I gave you my whole step of it was a summary, but it kind of how I'm engineering these ads, right? Have a little thank you page offer to liquidate those ad costs, turn them into the first person, right? Use Claude or AI or your own copyright, whatever you want to do to have some sort of ascension offers on the back end through your CRM. And then very important, if you want to make a lot of money, have a high ticket program on the back that you can offer people. And don't be dumb like me. Start doing this right away. It took me way too long. It took me, I think we had our high ticket offer I think I had it in like year 5 or year 6 is I think when we launched it in our business. But I had been hearing about this thing from year 2, right? Why did I move so slow? I don't know. But be smarter than me. So hopefully that gives you a good sense right here. This is sort of the, as the kids like to say, the TLDR of the too long didn't read. That's the acronym there. This is the summary of how I would get started.
All right. Thanks, Steve. I appreciate the time. I'm going to start building out my first script for my first ad. So I'm looking forward to the next video.
Hey, man. Happy to help. All right, everybody. Stop messing around on YouTube. Either do one of two things right now. First of all, watch another one of my videos because that'll help my algorithm, right? Or better yet, implement some stuff in your business starting today. Peace.